Thanks to Buddy Hield and a bunch of things that worked really well last night, the Warriors advance to the semifinals to play against the Minnesota Timberwolves tomorrow. But let's talk about this Rockets game, right? So we know that you, Warriors fan, myself, and many of us, we complain about Buddy Hield. We know that he has been really this roller coaster, but last night he was the key difference for us, right? He basically scored 22 points in the first half when no one else was really hot. He made the Warriors being able to lead, and then he finished with 33 points, 9 threes. But he gave us that ability, that third scorer that makes the defense, the other team defense concerned, and then open space for Stephen Curry and Jimmy Butler. We're also gonna talk today about Draymond Green, how he was impacting in this game, how he changed things from game 6, and he spoke about that. I'm gonna show you in a minute. And then obviously Steve Kerr made changes in the rotation as well, which were very impactful. We limited the double center defense with Adams and Shingun. He put Kevin Looney more often to the game. I think all those things took it off Stephen Curry out of the ball, limiting his turnovers in this game, even with a very tight defense to only 2. And Steph had a massive game and a massive first half. People don't give the credit because they don't see the points. But you want to see what Brian Windhorst also talk about Stephen Curry, because he made an impact in a different way. And that's so key, because that for the future show how the Warriors is capable of scoring and leading and taking the lead even without Steph, the main guy, being hot. And that was amazing, right? And then obviously second half he took control towards the end of the game and closed it for us. Like we know how much clutch he is, but overall a great team performance. So let's see what Steph and Draymond said up after the game. Just a quick thing for you to notice.
In Houston, what you think your reputation is in the city?
I'm a winner.
Winner.
I think this group is capable of exactly what we set out to do, which is win a championship. We know the things that we need to improve on and continue to get better at, but I think we're right where we need to be, right where we want to be, with an opportunity to continue to extend this thing, and we believe.
Let's not forget, at the end of the day, we're number 7 seed and we just beat the Houston Rockets that are number 2nd. I agree with you, and so many has said that we are technically not that original 7 seed, because if you just consider after the Jim Butler trade, we would probably position ourselves much better. But it was a tough series, right? It was very physical, young team. The Rockets have a bright future. But I do think, and I want to say something, like the Warriors deserved and they humble the Houston Rockets. And say they humble because there's 2 interviews that really like make me mad and wanting the Warriors to win this, because like, look, we have a team that with Draymond and Steph that have 4 rings, have done this many times. You have other players that were there in our last championship as well, such as Moses Moody and Jonathan Kuminga. Even that they were rookies, they participated, they made the run. And then you have Jim Butler has been in finals, much more experiencing. And this Houston Rockets team, for me, at some point, they were being very arrogant. Like, there's an interview of Alperen Sengun before the game where he was basically saying that the Warriors didn't beat them. Sound like they didn't, like the Warriors didn't do anything. That was the Rockets that beat themselves by missing shots and free throws, which is not true. Because, and also if you look at that, the games that the Warriors lost, they missed a lot of open shots as well. So you can't take like, one thing that I think this Houston Rockets team lack in the second part was the interviews last night from Amir Thompson, that I think is a great player, probably was going to be one of the best in the leagues in a couple of years. And then you also have Ime Udoka, their coach. What I felt like none of them, like they were actually praising and giving credits to the Warriors team, which is really bad. Like if you see the Warriors interviews, Steve Kerr, Draymond Green, Stephen Curry, Jim Butler, all of them, they gave credit. Like Buddy Hield after the game, they all gave credit to the Rockets for making a good series, make this tough. On the opposite side, like I think they lack it, this humbleness right now. So I'm glad that the Warriors win this and humble them. So they're gonna have to grow up and learn, right? But you're playing against a team that has won a lot more than you. You should respect that. all the time. You still can go there and put a fight, and you can even win, but you gotta respect that. You not like the way that they treat, like sometimes was physical, disrespectful. I don't know. I just think that the overall, I was really mad on the way that they were behaving, and even after they lost. So that I like that the Warriors made that. But let's see what Brian Windhorst talk about Stephen Curry and how he impacted this game in a different way.
Senior NBA reporter Brian Windhorst joining the program. Wendy, fantastic to see us. Steph shining late in this Warriors win. Why is this performance standing out as one of his more memorable ones?
I got to tell you, there was like a transposition here. It was Buddy Hield playing like Steph Curry, and Steph Curry was playing like a great role.
I did last night.
And I say that with great awe. Steph Curry with 10 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, and only 2 turnovers. There you go in 46 minutes. And by the way, I'm going to circle the 2 turnovers because the Warriors were turning the ball over like crazy. Steve Kerr was basically begging and pleading with them to take care of the ball. And so, yeah, Steph has a couple of great hoops down the stretch of the game. But the reason the Warriors were in great position here was his all-around performance. That was do what you got to do to win Game 7, Steph Curry. Even though his thumb might be bothering him, it was an awesome showing considering you needed a Game 7 performance on the road.
It was a great game from Steph, and that's what I was saying. Like in the first half, he limited his turnovers. He was providing a lot of assists, grabbing rebounds, fighting. So that was a different style, and also understanding like, okay, I'm the superstar of this team, but this is what it takes to win. I'm gonna do it. And then you combine this with Steve Kerr, which I keep saying for me, it is a great coach. I know so many Warriors fans actually are bothered with some of his decisions. I don't agree with all of them, but I think he's one of the best in the league. And he created a space for Steph to rotate and to work last night that wasn't necessarily controlling the game so much. And when you got like, I think like the Buddy Hield thing getting hot was occasion, right? It could have been any other one because in the beginning, you actually had Porzingis wasn't really hot, like was really cold last night. He was missing, but he had opportunities as well. And then you also had Moody, you had other guys. So at the end of the day, I think like the Warriors just designed their offense to find who would be that guy and then create the place for that. And that would open the space for Jim Butler and for Stephen Curry as it happened. In the beginning, Draymond Green hit it like 8 points really quick. And then, so it started confusing the defense, right? And I think that you sum up with that, with the lack of experience that the Rockets have. Like, it's the first Game 7 for a lot of those guys. When you look to the Warriors players, like, we have a lot of experience. Remember, we were in a very tough, similar spot against Memphis in 2022 when we won that championship. We lost by 40, 50 points Game 6. And then we went to on the road, like that Game 7, and Stephen Curry scored like 50 points. So it's a familiar. And when you look to the other guys, like it's the first time they are in this really last opportunity to win, right? Because Game 5 and 6, they have nothing to lose. No one is crediting or giving them the chance. So you play more free. Then now you're playing Game 7 at home. And pressure, I think that made an impact on the Houston Rockets as well, and they will learn. So the Warriors took advantage of that. It was a great night. Everything worked really well, and I think we have to credit everyone. And we also have to credit Draymond Green, right? I think he played really bad all the other 6 games of the series, but especially because he was a lot focusing on fighting. He was getting to that physicality with the Houston Rockets team and the referees and complaining and flagrant fouls, and we saw the Steve Kerr mention about it. And then Buddy Hield after the game mentioned about this team meeting which Draymond Green led and really set the tone. We don't know the contents of that, how that really play out, but you can see the impact because he's a leader, right? And then you see a Game 7 where Draymond wasn't fighting with referees, he was only locked in and playing. That really sets the tone for everyone else. And also, he shared about his meeting with Steve Kerr, which we're going to see what he says right now.
Draymond, coach, before you came in, he said that your emotions played a big part in this. What were you, what was that conversation with the team before you guys came out tonight?
A little long, so hold with me.
I thought, my people I trust them most had, we had some heart-to-hearts. after last game. My wife, one of my closest friends, Travis, my barber is one of my closest friends, Coach Izzo, and I pouted way too much last game. So I spent the last 2 days embarrassed, just at what I gave to the game, what I gave to the world. I was embarrassed, and so I've been dying since the last game ended to get out on the floor and prove who I am. You know, one thing about this league, you're never done proving who you are until you're done, completely finished. And so I wanted to come out and prove again just who I am, with poise, but with the same fire, same tenacity, but poise. And I think I delivered that and gave our guys something to follow. What I gave them last game to follow, they followed it. And that's why we got bullied. But I think I gave them something different to follow today. And that was the message, that was the goal. We got it done.
He's gonna talk about
Notice you and Steve having a talk, a shoot around. Mostly Steve talking
conversation with Steve.
and you listening. Just what was kind of the mood of that one?
Pay attention how that sets the tone on how Steve Kerr is a great coach and
Just really set the tone for what he needed from me today, which is poise, leadership. But he had some great words. He gave me a story, a few different stories. They were great, but I think the gist of it was just, you've done so much. Whether we win or lose this game, when it's all said and done at the end of your career, nobody will remember. So go out, have fun with poise, give your guys something to follow. You know, you told me you're one of the most competitive people I've ever been around, and one of the greatest leaders I've been around. So it's my job to let you know what your leadership should be tonight, like how you need to lead, what that needs to look like for tonight. It's my job to prepare you for that. My job to get you ready emotionally to play. And it's one of the better conversations we've ever had, and we've had some great ones. But that one I'll remember for the rest of my life.
very impactful because it's real, right? Draymond is one of the leaders of this team, one of the most experienced together with Steph. So he plays a massive role when how the other, especially the rooks, will behave. And it sets the tone because even the falls, they put the team in a difficult position, right? And we got to remember, now we are facing the Timberwolves, starts tomorrow, and they have the home court advantage as well. And we have Gobert on the other side. So Draymond is going to play that same center, and Gobert, and they also have Julius Randle, McDaniels. So it's a sizable team as well, which will mean Draymond still playing that center small ball lineup. And we know how much Draymond and Gobert, they don't get along. So we got to be mindful. Like, we got to watch how Draymond Green is going to behave and hope that he's going to keep focus on the game. I think that's going to be key differentiator. Happy that the Warriors win this first round series. Let's hope we have a great game tomorrow. I see you, and bye.